Death. Good afternoon, guys. Fat Preacher Man here. Just doing another commentary, and as you can hopefully tell by the title, by the intro, today's topic is death, dying, being dead, ceasing to exist in the mortal plane. Whatever you want to call it, however you want to look at it. Just thought I'd talk about it today, and part of the reason is that during this past week, I lost somebody that I loved that was near and dear to me. And I know this happens to many of us all the time, everywhere, because as long as people live, people are going to die. But how do we deal with it? How do we cope? How do you help children to cope? How do you help your loved ones who were even closer to that person to cope? I lost basically an uncle. And he was a great man. He was intelligent. He was funny. He was hardworking, dedicated to the family. He was outgoing. He was everything that I would aspire to be, and that I would hope my son would grow up to be. So, when you lose someone like that, it gets you to thinking about your own life, the life of the people around you that you love. I mean, because, even if you look at the gameplay that's going on, we look at death all the time on the news and in games, and we brush it off. We've become desensitized to it. And I think that's why when it hits it close to home, it's so hard. It's so harsh. That reality, it just comes crashing down. That even for people like me who believe in life after death, who believe in heaven and hell, who believe in I believe that he's in heaven, but it's still hard for me because my flesh, me here, still wants him here. Even though he was about to be 65 and had a successful life, in my opinion, and had a wonderful family, I hurt for his wife, for his daughter, for his other family members, for my wife, to whom he was also like an uncle or a second father, for my children, who looked up to him as Uncle Leon, and I think it's kind of funny, and I didn't mean it, but just realized that we're doing a gameplay commentary on, and Leon's running around saving the day, and Leon Fleming was actually the name of my uncle. How ironic is that? But anyway, so I don't know what all your guys' beliefs are, your feelings about death, how much death you've encountered, but I've never really processed it well. It takes me a lot of time to work through it, and then even when I think of loved ones that I've lost, my grandmother, my wife's grandmother, people that were close to me, I get on the edge of losing it. I have to really control my emotions. I'm much more emotional than I'd like to be when it comes to things like that. I'd like to consider myself one of those guys who doesn't cry, but if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I cry like a 2-year-old child when it comes to things like that. And and death is also very different depending upon how close you are to it, how close you are to the actual scene, or seeing the body, or seeing the person that you've lost, seeing them with that spark, with that essence gone, and realizing that they're not the same person, that they won't be waking up, that they won't be calling you, or you can't call them, the things you could have done and should have done. It's too late at that point. Even, like I said, for those of us who do believe in something more, I don't know how at all atheists can cope with it, how the agnostic can cope with it, how those who believe there is no hope, I don't understand. I don't know how I used to deal with it, because I used to be an atheist. I used to believe there was nothing more to life, than death, and death no more than life, that once you die, that was it. And, now that I think back about it, there is no comfort in that, and that's not any reason just to become a believer. But still, that's part of the benefit. A lot of people think that faith is a crutch, but it's really hard to believe. It's hard to be a man or woman of faith in this day and age without people beating you up and pushing you down, without wondering sometimes where God is in the midst of things. But this is one instance when we do have it better than everyone else, in my opinion. That especially for those of us, like I know that Leon was a faithful man. He was hardworking. He loved the Lord Jesus Christ. He gave his life to serve others, and not just in the church, but in the world. He was in construction, and he did personal jobs, and he was there to help people and to be a blessing. And looking at his life, again, it's someone that I would want to emulate, someone I'd like to be like, in ways where my own father had failed me. He was a man I could look up to and say, I want to be there for my wife the way he was for his wife. I want to be there for my daughter, my son, the way he was there for his daughter. And to just push and to encourage and to strive. So when, again, that moment of death, when we lose someone, and again, it's ironic because here we see Helena in this gameplay, and if you haven't already seen it, you see that's her sister that just got shot, and it's coming, obviously, that she's going to have to fight her, and only one of them is going to walk away. So that aspect of death again, and again, Resident Evil does it right. They draw you in with emotions, because emotion is what life is all about. Otherwise, you're just a robot. There's no purpose. There's no rhyme or reason. If we don't have that heart and that connection to other human beings, that makes death so powerful. That makes that time when you can't talk to them, when you can't hug them, when they can't hug you, when all those mistakes that they've made no longer matter. No, you don't care that you were right and that they were wrong. You don't care that they owed you something, because it's too late. So as we talk about death, that's one of the things that I really hope all of us begin to think about, that in the end, it's not going to matter. In the end, whether you believe or don't believe, whether you are a faithful Christian or not, whether you have any hope in Jesus or not, it doesn't matter. Once that person is gone, all the debts, all the pain, all the regret, that stuff that you have here on earth that we cling to, that we hold over other people, when death comes for you, it's not going to matter. So, while you have this time, while you have the opportunity, make the most of it with each and every person that is in your life. Your parents, you may have had disagreements with, your brothers, your sisters, your neighbors, your friends, your uncles, your aunts. While you have the chance, get right with it, because once that opportunity passes, it's gone, and there's no getting it back, and there's nothing. If you haven't done it, if you haven't fixed it, if you have it in your heart to do it and you don't, then you will regret it. When my own grandfather passed, I had always regretted, I still do, not being sure to have told him how much he really meant to me and how much he influenced me. He was not a Christian, but he was a dedicated, wonderful man of God. He was hardworking, and he cared for his family. He sacrificed for his family. So much like Leon, that was an example to me of what I wanted to be as a family man, as a father. So I regret not having told him that. And we had differences, but it was my own inability to communicate, or willingness to communicate, and not any problem with him that caused that. So whatever causes you not to do it, whether you just don't feel like saying it, or you're embarrassed or shy or whatever, get over it. You have to communicate while you have the time. Be sure to share your thoughts and feelings. Jesus bless you, and good gaming. So